The story begins with a little girl named Aurora, who woke up trembling with fear in the middle of the night. As soon as she heard something moving under her bed, she screamed loudly. Her parents immediately ran to her, and Aurora told them that a monster was hiding under her bed. She also said not to touch the ground, because if they stayed off the floor, the creature wouldn't be able to touch them. Her mother stopped near the door, bent down to look underneath, and said that there was nothing there. Aurora's parents comforted her and told her to go to sleep. Saying goodnight, they left. But Aurora was still very scared. So she climbed out through the window and went to sleep on the balcony. Sometimes she would peek inside and see a small bunny shape made of dust under the bed. Just then, she saw a shooting star in the sky and made a wish. At that very moment, a firefly appeared in front of her. Aurora started following its light. After a while, she saw her neighbor from apartment 5B coming out. The next day, Aurora tried to peek into her neighbor's mailbox to check his letters. But as soon as he returned and started taking his things, she quickly hid. Now Aurora was watching him from the stairs, and when she saw that 5B was heading toward the elevator, she came out. At first, she hesitated to enter the elevator, but 5B held the door open for her, so she went inside. When they reached their floor, Aurora couldn't stop staring at his door. That night, she again saw 5B leaving from her balcony. She took a blanket, climbed down the fire escape, and started following him. 5B heard a noise and suddenly turned around, so Aurora quickly hid under some trash bins. When 5B looked, he only saw the blanket, so he moved on. Aurora kept following him until they both reached Chinatown. There, she picked up a mask from the trash to hide her face. Then she climbed onto a building rooftop and continued following 5B from above. Eventually, she saw him in an alley where some men with a large dragon puppet were chasing him. Suddenly, fireworks started exploding around the dragon, and 5B emerged from the shadows and attacked the men. First, he fought those surrounding the puppet and took them down one by one with impressive moves. When the dragon almost caught him, he quickly rolled aside. At that moment, a firework blast knocked down more men. Then 5B pulled out a special weapon, blocked their attacks, and skillfully defeated all the enemies. Amid all the light and smoke, Aurora felt like he was fighting a real dragon. After that, Aurora quietly followed him back home. 5B was injured, and sometimes his blood would drip onto the ground. Each time, he would remove his shoe and wipe it with his sock. One last time, he wiped blood from his arm and went inside his apartment. He pretended to close the door, but was actually watching Aurora. Meanwhile, Aurora came out of hiding and knocked on her door so her parents would let her in. Later, her parents scolded her while bathing her. Even then, Aurora's attention was on the dusty bunny under her bed. Her parents put her to bed, and her father said he was taking all her worries into his pocket. But shortly after, strange noises began. Aurora quickly hid under her blanket as the monster emerged from beneath the ground and went out of the room to attack her parents. She heard their screams and the creature's roar and began crying in terror. The next morning, Aurora was too scared to touch the ground. She moved around by climbing on a wheeled hippo structure. She checked the master bedroom, which was completely destroyed, but there was no sign of her parents. After eating a little by herself, she sat in the lobby all day waiting for 5B, but he didn't come. When she returned to her apartment, she picked up some grapes from the kitchen and walked on furniture to avoid touching the floor. Suddenly, one grape slipped from her hand, and she froze completely. But when nothing happened, she continued and reached her bed. Then she removed her shoes, and one accidentally fell to the floor. Suddenly, the ground began to shake, and Aurora quickly hid under the blanket. A part of the floor slowly opened, and a claw came out and picked up the grape. The monster ate it but spat it out because it was sour. The grape hit a lamp, breaking the bulb. Aurora placed her blanket over the hole, but the monster pulled it away. When she tried to run, the monster shook the bed to stop her. Then it fully emerged from the ground. It was large and covered in hair. The bed got stuck on its back, so Aurora held onto it tightly to avoid falling. The monster moved around searching for her, but when it found nothing, it went back. As it left, the ground slowly closed behind it. The next morning, Aurora saw her shoes still on the bed and was surprised. Then she noticed the broken bulb, confirming that the monster had really come. After that, she went to church, where people were placing money into a collection plate. Children were tasked with passing the plate to the priest. But Aurora only pretended to help and instead took the money and ran away. Later, 5B checked his mail and found a strange envelope decorated with cute stickers. When he reached his floor, he saw Aurora looking out into the corridor from her window. Inside his home, 5B opened the envelope and found a letter from Aurora. It said she wanted to hire him, and his job was to kill the monster under her bed. He had just started counting the money when someone knocked on the door. Aurora was standing outside, asking if the money was enough or if he needed more. After entering, she introduced herself, but the man from 5B didn't give his name, so we'll call him 5B. There were 32,742 cents in the envelope, and Aurora admitted she had stolen it from the church. When 5B asked why she thought he could kill monsters, she said she saw him killing a dragon in Chinatown. 5B explained that there were people inside it, not a real monster. But Aurora insisted. When 5B asked what her parents thought, she said the monster had already eaten them. Hearing this, 5B agreed to go with her to her apartment. He checked the master bedroom. There was no blood, but there was a bullet shell on the floor and many holes and cuts on the walls. 5B wondered how neighbors didn't hear anything, and Aurora said the monster eats people's screams too. They returned to 5B's apartment. He asked why she didn't call the police, and she said no one would believe her story about a monster. When he asked why the monster would kill her family, she said it was because they touched the ground. That evening, 5B went to meet his handler Lavender at a bar hidden in train tunnels. He showed her Aurora's parents' ID cards and said they were kidnapped. He believed the attackers were after him, but entered the wrong apartment and killed the parents after they saw their faces. Lavender promised to investigate and noted that the girl knew too much. But 5B said he wouldn't kill a child. Lavender understood that he felt guilty. Later, 5B stayed awake at home. Suddenly, he heard the elevator, just as he expected. He rushed to Aurora's apartment and told her a monster was coming, so she had to hide in the closet. Then 5B climbed onto the ceiling near the door and waited with a knife in his mouth, which accidentally fell. At that moment, a killer entered. As he came closer, 5B attacked him. The killer grabbed the knife, and 5B fell while dodging. The killer grabbed him and slammed him against walls. Then 5B picked up a large light bulb and smashed it on the killer's head. They both struggled, choking each other, until 5B finally killed him. Meanwhile, another killer entered through the balcony into Aurora's room and fired at the bed. But when she removed the blanket, she found only pillows. She opened the closet and found Aurora hiding. Just as she was about to shoot her, the monster suddenly emerged from the ground and attacked, breaking the closet doors and eating the killer. 5B rushed into the room and realized another killer had been there. He thought the killer escaped, but Aurora insisted the monster ate her. 5B took Aurora to the kitchen and told her more killers would come. He checked her room and found only one hole in the floor made by a bullet. Then he carried her panda suitcases to the bathroom, where the dead body and tools were kept. He wrapped the body in plastic and hung it over the bathtub to drain the blood. But when Aurora came in, he dropped the body. She asked what he was doing. Actually, 5B was draining the blood so that when he cut the body into pieces, it wouldn't make a mess. His plan was to cut the body into pieces and pack them into suitcases to dispose of them. That's why he closed the door so Aurora wouldn't see this horrifying act. Meanwhile, Aurora fell asleep sitting right in front of the door. When 5B finished chopping, he woke her up because the body no longer looked like a human. So he allowed Aurora to help wrap the pieces. While doing this, Aurora kept asking many questions. Eventually, 5B admitted that yes, he is a hitman, and that her parents were actually killed by a killer who probably came looking for him. Now more killers would be sent to kill both of them because Aurora knows too much about them. Hearing this, Aurora told him not to feel too guilty. She said her parents always get killed by the monster anyway. Just then, they heard a noise at the door and fell silent. When 5B slightly opened the door, he saw a woman named Brenda standing there, who was a social worker. In reality, Aurora was an orphan living there with a foster family. This was her third foster family, and Brenda had come just to check if everything was okay. Now 5B pretended to be Aurora's father, but during the conversation he made several mistakes, which made Brenda suspicious. Nervous, 5B said that he was feeling a bit unwell and asked her to come back after a few days. As soon as the door closed, 5B realized that Brenda was not a real social worker. At the same time, Brenda was speaking into her earpiece, saying that the man didn't seem like her real father. After that, 5B asked Aurora about her previous foster families, and she said the monster had eaten all of them. Her first family treated her very badly, so after seeing a shooting star, she wished for a monster to remove them forever. Unfortunately, she couldn't get rid of the monster afterward. That's why she made another wish, that 5B would kill the monster. Aurora had no one in this whole world. When she asked 5B if he had anyone of his own, he refused to answer. After some time, 5B met Lavender at a cafe, carrying suitcases with him. He pretended that the big suitcase contained the killer's body and the small one contained Aurora's body parts. Lavender admitted that she was the one who sent the killers, but they were not sent to kill 5B. Her intention was only to kill the girl because she had seen too much. Lavender also said she had investigated the girl. No one knows who her real parents are. Since she was abandoned, She probably created a monster in her mind that only she can see. Lavender also found out that many people in the underworld are after 5B. Just then, Aurora suddenly came and sat at their table, ruining 5B's plan of pretending she was dead. Lavender couldn't understand why 5B was helping the girls so much. Still, she suggested that if he cared so much, they should both leave the city. After that, 5B took Aurora to a restaurant where they noticed a strange man watching them from outside. When 5B told Aurora to say he is her father if anyone asks, she replied that all her fathers end up dying. 5B told her the monster exists only in her imagination, not in reality. This made Aurora angry, and they started arguing. Then the strange man approached and asked if she was his daughter. Aurora said yes, but 5B said no. The man revealed that he was an assassin, but he was only there for 5B and didn't want to involve the girl. 5B told him to wait outside and said he would come. Fighting inside would bring the police. As soon as the man left, 5B asked the waiter to pack all the food and cleverly left with Aurora without confronting the hitman. While walking through Chinatown streets, Aurora held 5B's hand and noticed the man following them. 5B reassured her that he had a plan. Soon, more hitmen joined the first one and followed them to their building. After some time, Brenda also arrived because 5B had called her. When Aurora opened the door for her, she saw some mysterious men standing on the stairs. 5B quickly sent her to her room, where she hid in a special compartment cut inside the mattress. Then 5B told Brenda that he was just a neighbor worried about both their lives. He explained that Aurora's foster family had been murdered and now unknown people were after them. To prove it, he turned off all the lights and pointed toward the hitmen outside. Brenda immediately contacted her driver, who confirmed seeing the men and called for backup. Just then, the doorbell rang. 5B quickly opened the door while Aurora kept telling him to get off the floor, but he ignored her. After checking the window, when he opened the door, Lavender was standing there. He pulled her into the hallway to talk. She said the people outside were preparing for an attack, but 5B replied that he would attack first. Lavender scolded him and said Aurora cannot stay alive because she has seen all their faces. She told 5B to save himself, but 5B calmly asked her to leave. When he returned inside, Brenda revealed that she was an FBI agent, and 5B pretended to be surprised. She said she was investigating Aurora's foster families, and when 5B learned that the girl's story was true, that all her parents had really disappeared, he was genuinely shaken. Just then, they heard a noise and ran to Aurora's room. She said she had accidentally touched the floor. As 5B moved toward the window, Aurora started throwing things at him, yelling not to touch the floor. Suddenly, a floorboard broke, and Aurora screamed loudly. 5B told her to hide and went outside the room, not noticing something emerging from the ground behind him. At that moment, the killers fired through the door, knocking 5B and Brenda back. At the same time, the monster appeared briefly and hit again. The hitmen started shooting through the hole in the door, and 5B fired back using Brenda's gun, killing some of them. He dragged the unconscious Brenda to the bathroom. Meanwhile, 2 FBI agents arrived in the corridor and started firing, killing more hitmen. In the bathroom, 5B realized he had run out of bullets and started searching Brenda's clothes, but she regained consciousness and took back her gun. Then 5B pressed his ear to the floor to listen to the hitmen, but instead heard something beneath the ground. Finally believing Aurora, he climbed onto the sink and told Brenda to get off the floor too. Just as a killer was about to open the bathroom door, the monster appeared again in Aurora's room. The man tried to shoot it, but it had no effect, and the monster came out and devoured him alive. The remaining hitmen panicked and started shooting toward the door, but their bullets had no effect. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, 5B searched for something useful and found a bitter anti-thumb-sucking solution bottle. At that moment, a hitman flew into the tub, and 5B stabbed an electric toothbrush into his eye. As the man fired randomly, Brenda shot him and shut the door. Eventually, all the screaming stopped. Only 4 hitmen remained, hanging onto the wall to avoid touching the floor. One of them accidentally dropped his weapon, which caused the monster to appear and eat him, then drag his body into the hole. 5B and Brenda threw the dead body into the corridor, and the others shot at it. Soon, the monster came out again and ate that body too. 5B quickly shut the bathroom door again. Suddenly, FBI agents stormed in and started arresting the remaining hitmen who refused to come down. One agent entered the bathroom, and Brenda told him not to arrest 5B because he was just a neighbor. Then Brenda ran into the corridor and told her team to stay off the floor. At that moment, a claw emerged from the floor and blocked the entrance. The monster came out and devoured everyone in the corridor. Meanwhile, Aurora sat in her room covering her ears, listening to screams and gunshots. When no one was left, the monster returned underground. After that, 5B climbed onto the wheeled hippo and moved toward Aurora's room. He promised to save her and take her away. But suddenly, the monster emerged again and grabbed him in its mouth. 5B tried with all his strength to hold its mouth open, but he wasn't strong enough, and the monster closed its jaws around him and dragged him into its hole. He survived because of the bitter thumb-sucking liquid, which tasted awful. They hugged each other, but the moment was interrupted by Lavender, who came to kill Aurora. 5B tried to warn her about the monster, but when she refused to move, she mocked him, saying monsters don't exist. But suddenly, the creature appeared. She fired at it with special shoes, but it went underground and came out behind her, devouring her. 5B watched her die and softly called her mom one last time. Then he took Aurora toward the balcony, but before they could escape, the monster flipped the bed and prepared to eat him. 5B rolled aside, and the monster swallowed the entire bed. When it came again, Aurora stepped between the monster and 5B to save her only friend. The creature stopped. 5B explained that it doesn't eat Aurora because it was created from her own mind, so she must learn to live with it. Hearing this, Aurora gathered courage, told the monster to stop, and decided to leave the city to start a new life. Later, we see that as they were leaving, the monster was running behind their car. So do creatures like ghosts and monsters really exist? What do you think? Tell in the comments.